when the last Hindenburg survivor, Werner Gustav Doehner, finally spoke openly about what he remembered. His confession wasn't dramatic or sensationally, was quiet, precise, and shaped by the weight of memories he carried for more than 8 decades. He was just 8 years old when the Hindenburg burst into flames over Lake Kirsch, New Jersey on May 6, 1937. But those moments remained sharper in his mind than anything else from his childhood. As he grew older, people often asked him about that day, yet he rarely answered. Only near the end of his life did he share what he believed truly happened, and what stayed with him long after the world stopped asking. Werner didn't begin his story with the explosion. Instead, he described what the airship felt like minutes before disaster struck: the warmth of the cabin lights, the polished wood, the smell of fuel faintly mixing with coffee and food prepared earlier in the day. He talked about the passengers who were excited to finally land in America after the long transatlantic trip. People chatted quietly, children laughed, and everything felt calm. The Hindenburg wasn't just a machine, it was a floating hotel, a marvel of German engineering that most people believed was nearly indestructible. But the detail Werner never forgot was just a small sound, a sharp metallic crack that echoed somewhere above him. He compared it to a wire snapping under pressure. At the time, he didn't understand its meaning. He only knew it didn't belong. He looked up, confused, but nothing seemed out of place. That tiny sound followed him throughout his life, showing up in dreams and quiet moments, and even in everyday noises that suddenly triggered that haunting memory. For years, countless theories surrounded the Hindenburg disaster: lightning strikes, static electricity, political motives. But Werner insisted he never saw anything that suggested foul play. No suspicious passengers, no tension, no arguments, no warning from the crew. What he remembered was normalcy, completely ordinary moments, seconds before a catastrophe no one could have predicted. When the explosion happened, Werner said there was no gradual buildup, no sense of something going wrong. There was only light, blinding, overwhelming, and impossibly fast. Flames tore through the ship's skin with a violent roar, turning the huge airship into a collapsing fireball. The heat was so intense that he felt it before he fully registered what was happening. He described being thrown to the side as the great vessel tilted sharply, passengers screaming as the structure broke apart around them. He remembered scrambling along hot metal, his small hands burning as he tried to find an escape. In the chaos, someone grabbed him and pulled him toward an opening. Werner never knew who that person was. That stranger disappeared in the smoke, and Werner was left with a lifetime of wondering whether the man who saved him survived. His childhood innocence ended in that moment. His brother and father didn't make it out. The guilt and grief he carried lasted his entire life. In his final confession, he admitted that he often asked himself whether he could have helped more people, whether he moved too quickly toward safety, whether he could have done something. Survivors often live with that weight, even when they had no control over the tragedy. Werner insisted that the disaster felt accidental, sudden, and heartbreakingly fast. He believed it was a deadly combination of static electricity, leaking hydrogen, and the ship's fragile design, nothing more sinister than a tragic chain reaction happening at the worst possible instant. What Werner Gustav Doehner wanted people to remember wasn't just the flames that consumed the Hindenburg, but the people inside, the families traveling to a new life, the crew members doing their jobs, the simple human moments before the sky turned to fire. As the last living witness, his final words about the disaster were meant to honor them. And now, his voice is the final thread connecting us to one of history's most haunting tragedies, and to the truth he carried for a lifetime.